Thanks so much for joining. You are present with us on the ServiceNow live on ServiceNow event for maximizing your employee center with Microsoft 365 today on 16th of August. Let's go ahead and proceed with our safe harbor notice. Give folks a moment to review. As we always like to say, anything that we may discuss today that's not currently generally available represents a plan and not a promise. So please don't base any purchase decisions on anything that is forward-looking and not available today. With you today are myself and my esteemed colleague, Mark. I'll start with a quick introduction. My name's Jeff Fox. I'm a product manager here at ServiceNow. I'm coming up on 2 years at the end of October. So I guess that's 18 or 20 months, 19 months. I've been a outbound product manager here at ServiceNow, which means I focus on developing product content, working externally with customers and preparing our sales teams, enabling our sales teams and partners. And I've been working specifically on the Microsoft integration. So I'm really excited to get the opportunity to chat with y'all today about the integration. This is right where I want to be, and look forward. I feel like a lot of people who are still learning about the integration, gathering information, and planning. Hopefully, you're going to get a lot of value from our session today. Let me pass it over to Mark. You want to say hello to folks?
Yeah, hi everyone. So Mark Revel. So I'm a solution consultant based out of the UK. I look after Microsoft Alliance in EMEA from a technical perspective, also part of the Partner Design Studio. Yeah, I've been in service now about 8 years, and previously also worked for Microsoft.
So,
back to you, Jeff.
Appreciate it. Also, I should mention before we move on, I'm playing dual roles here, trying to run the Zoom session as well. So if there's any technical difficulties, please be patient with me. Okay. And so as we move on, a couple of other statements. Today's session is a part of Live on ServiceNow, a curated event series to connect you, designed to connect you with ServiceNow experts and peers that can help you deploy your products and achieve value faster. We hope you join us again at another webinar or meetup. You can see the schedule by scanning the QR code or viewing the link in the chat. Mark, I hope you have that link available to share. If not, we'll get it in here as soon as possible. There's also a link around accessing the recording and the presentation for today's session that we'll be sharing as well on ServiceNow community. Couple housekeeping items. This is a webinar, right? We've saved time at the end for Q&A. Please use the Q&A button in Zoom to ask questions along the way. And myself or Mark will be able to respond as quickly as possible or hit you up at we'll address questions at the end. This session will be recorded and shared on our community site. And when we're finished, we'll be sent, you'll see a survey pop up. Please take a moment to let us know how we did. We really value your feedback and letting us know what we can do to make these sessions more valuable. Bear with me. Whoop. Okay, so I have a chat and I'm going to try to run a poll question, but I am having a bit of a Zoom issue. So let me see if I can sort this out. Here we go. Okay, and poll question number 2, launch. Okay, what would you like to see more of to support your ServiceNow and Teams adoption journey? And this is really crucial for us as we're developing content all the time. Want to make sure that we're hitting material that really is of value to you. So if you could please take a moment to go ahead and let us know what you think would be useful, that would be really helpful. And I'm going to take this moment to look at the chat. Oh, thanks, Mark. Okay, good stuff. I know from my perspective as a product manager, I'm working on more content around doing the integration itself. And I think that's something that over the balance of the year, we're going to get a lot more content put out on and make it available in the community and through the portal. So hope that would be useful to people. All right, seeing we're at about 58% here. We'll just give it another couple of clicks. If you haven't already responded, please do let us know what you'd like to see more of. More content on newest features and enhancements. Cool. We've got a link in here to some of the newest content on Employee Center specifically, as well as on the Teams integration. So I'm going to go ahead and end the poll here. Thanks to those who shared. So we're more overview content. A lot of people, more than a quarter, said more technical content. Selling the integration internally. You know, we have some click-through demos that we sometimes make available. It's good to know that that's something folks need. What's available today is good. Glad to hear that from some, and more on the latest. So cool. Thank you guys. Really appreciate it. Yeah, great comments. Great comments, guys. Okay, let's get underway. All right, so we're going to start out for the first couple minutes, guys. If you haven't been on one of these sessions before, or if you're still gathering information, you may be asking yourself, why should we integrate ServiceNow with Microsoft or Microsoft Teams? And you know, we talk to customers all the time here, and a common theme we've really seen be prevalent over a long period of time, and that's that organizations are really pressed to provide both better experiences and more efficiency. Many customers consider this a mission critical objective. And it's mission critical because the proliferation of applications has created a common challenge, which is to manage multiple experiences. Today, employees and agents have to wrestle with multiple experiences across email and chat and different portals and applications. And this creates stress as employees and agents constantly toggle or swivel chair, as we sometimes say, between these applications for information or due to different notifications. It's stressful, and it's also inefficient. Navigating to all these places for information is simply not a good use of time. And sometimes information can just be missed altogether, which happens to me periodically, probably more often than I'd like. Maybe it doesn't happen to you, but perhaps others in your organization. So it's easy to understand why solving these kinds of challenges are important when you really dig into the numbers. McKinsey reports an estimated 20% of employee time is lost searching for information to complete tasks and workflows. HBR reports 9% of time is lost trying to reorient to a task after visiting a new application. And finally, our friends at Gartner report 43% of employees miss information, guess I'm in that group, because they have too many applications open. Employees and agents shouldn't have to struggle, should they? And they no longer have to. This is where the ServiceNow and Microsoft integration comes in. It improves efficiency by seamlessly weaving ServiceNow and Microsoft experiences together in natural workspaces. And with this seamless experience, you get happier employees. It doesn't feel just like ServiceNow or Teams. It's a single experience for both agents and employees. This increases productivity because the integration between Teams and Teams and ServiceNow bring notifications, information, and action into a single place. Finally, we optimize collaboration. Good things happen when you take world-class collaboration software and weave it directly into world-class workflow software. So let's dig just a little bit deeper into how stakeholders may benefit from the integration. And let's start at the top with the CIO. Your CIO wants to be sure they're maximizing their investments, their strategic investments that they've made around efficiency, collaboration, and experience. Service owners want to be able to alert employees to outages and then quickly bring experts together to streamline collaboration and close out on these issues. Agents want to be able to reach employees and experts in Teams directly from ServiceNow. And finally, employees, they don't want to leave their natural workspace when it comes to requesting services, finding answers, or providing information to an agent. Say that can all be done within Teams, right? It's great. And so when we talk about how we drive efficiency through the experience, here are 5 app experiences that show off the integration for employees and agents. First, and the reason why we're here today is around Employee Center, where employees can request service, review their tasks, or search knowledge base articles and more directly within Teams. Next, we have Virtual Agent, where employees can self-serve with automated workflows, accessing KB articles, and much more, all within Teams. Our Service Operations Workspace helps agents further reduce mean time to resolution by invoking notifications in Teams, conversations, and conferences directly from ServiceNow. And we have major incident management, which helps service owners get services up again faster with automated Teams calls from ServiceNow. Finally, we have agent-to-employee chat to help enable agents to reach employees directly in Teams from ServiceNow. And that does it for some of our overview content. So before we get into more around specifically Employee Center, Mark, are there any questions that we should break for, or any comments you may have seen in the chat?
No, there's some great comments about documentation and best practice, and that we need to do more around that, which is brilliant, and especially some of the new functionality like sidebar. So they're definitely things to take on board moving forward. A couple of questions in Q&A, which I'm dealing with at the moment.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. All right, well, let's proceed. Excuse me. Okay, so the integration itself, very powerful. Let's talk about how to enable Employee Center within Teams. It's really a three-step process, pretty simple. You need to ensure that the two platforms are integrated, and we're going to demonstrate this here shortly. Ensure the platforms are integrated. You need to download a manifest from ServiceNow and then upload the manifest into Teams. To do that, here's a brief look at the requirements, and you'll get these when you get the deck. It's posted in some other places as well. In terms of plugins, the Microsoft Integrations Core plugin is one of the background items that's included with all the Microsoft, excuse me, integration content. So you may not see that one specifically, but it is one of the dependent plugins that should be coming along with. On the Microsoft side, we need to have a global administrator or a Teams administrator role, or sorry, both of those two roles. And then on the ServiceNow side, we need this external app install admin role. And with that all in place, this is what it would look like. We'll proceed through this a little bit. First, we're going to go to install Azure apps. From there, we're going to find this install button, presuming you have all the plugins installed. You'll need to log in with a ServiceNow tenant, or sorry, a Microsoft tenant, right, to do the integration. And once it's done, it should look like this, where you'll see the red uninstall button. And more importantly, you'll have these other dependent items installed. From there, we're going to download the manifest file. This is generated. It's a Microsoft item. We generate it from your ServiceNow instance. So we'll go into the ServiceNow for Microsoft Teams and click under Application Manifest. We'll click on a new manifest. You'll go through a short series of screens to set up what your integration is going to look like within Teams. And let me take a moment to go through this here. And Mark, please comment. But you know, this is the actual name of the app. This is where you can do a lot of the customization that's achievable with ServiceNow and with Employee Center inside of Teams. You can name your app whatever you want from here. Adding a version number is important, and we'll see this more so in the live demo. But we need to add, you know, successive increasing numbers each time you download a new manifest. You can have your description for what the application is going to have that'll show up to people that see it inside of Teams. From here, we're going to configure VA. If you have VA, we'll connect it. And if there's options here, if you have a single ServiceNow instance or multiple instances. After that, you can add, this is where Employee Center comes in. If you want to call Employee Center something else, if you have some other, the word snafu for some reason comes to mind, and not because of this demo, at least not yet, but just because you can name it whatever you want. So this is the spot within the manifest generation where you can do that. You can see also there's a couple of other checkboxes here that have more details around how you can customize the Employee Center and the whole integration inside Teams. With that done, we're going to download the manifest. We'll download the zip file, and that's what we'll use to go to step 3. And to do that, we'll go to, I believe it's Teams. We'll go to this Microsoft Teams Admin Center, and we'll see this in the demo as well. We'll go in to manage our apps. We're going to, for the first time, if you haven't done the integration yet, you'll click on Upload a New App under Manage Apps. you'll upload this manifest file. And when that's done, there's a couple of other things we really recommend doing, one of which is going into your setup policies and then making sure that the application itself is pinned. And so here you would add apps to the pinned apps. This is also where you would use the policy to deploy the integration to all of your users, and this would be on their left rail inside of Teams. And you can also, so it would deploy to users, and then you would place it on the left rail when you pin the app. That's pretty much it. So let's see here. I believe that is, I'm going to go back to this slide and I'm going to move over to my instance.
So just have one quick question,
Go
which I
ahead.
thought I'd answer live rather than type it, and that's around the manifest file settings and what can be updated after the record's created. So once you've created the record, then if you want to go back into that manifest file, then you can just press the back button. It will take you back past all the tabs, and you can change things in that. You can always create a new one. Just one thing to bear in mind when you're creating a new manifest file, just make sure it's always a version above what you already had, because Teams does check it and it rejects anything that's either equal to or a previous number. So just bear that in mind.
Yeah. I see this other question, a couple of things around updating the manifest file, and we'll get into it here in a moment. But Mark, it may be worth it to talk a little bit more about when do you upload the manifest. And I know this is just going off the cuff, but as I've gone through and the more I learn about the product, it seems like each time there's an update to you download you initiate an update, like there's a new version that comes out. To get the new capabilities of that installed version, you would need to upload the manifest again, right? And so we'll look into that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily every single time, but certainly always worth reading through the release notes to check. So it doesn't always happen like that. But it's really when you might be changing the wording, changing the branding, changing the colors. Those are the main things that you might be doing. We did a big change with the 365 stuff at the August release, so that obviously has potentially a bearing on the manifest file, because that is a change, but it's not every single release. So read the release notes. That will always tell you whether you need to redo the manifest file or not.
Good one. Thanks, Mark. Hope that helped, folks. All right, so here I am in an instance. It's just a demo instance. I've typed in ServiceNow for Microsoft. It's got ServiceNow for Microsoft 365. As Mark said, this is a bit of a change in our branding with the most recent release. I'm going to go into install Azure Apps. All right, so I've uploaded all the necessary plugins here, and this is what you should see once you've done that and you've yet to install. I'm going to caveat here, this is going to be a little bit anticlimactic because I've installed and uninstalled on this instance, and so when I go to do it, I'm going to sign into my Microsoft tenant, and everything else is poof installed. So you can see here we've got Notify Connector, and you want to see this installed indicator right here, as well as request-based chat and SSO and activity notification. Each of these are dependent activities that help realize the integration. You also see, this is something that you would see if you haven't done this before, you would see the authorize button. And this is a new from August plugin that I haven't activated yet, but it is useful here to see what you would normally see in your instance if you haven't done the integration yet yourself. But on the whole, this is what you want to see, right? So now we've connected the Microsoft tenant to ServiceNow. Next, what we're going to do is go ahead and generate this manifest, right? So we've still got ServiceNow for Microsoft listed in here. And under application manifest, I'm going to go to ServiceNow for Teams. And Mark, okay. So this is what we would normally see. I'm going to close this one. So I've updated the manifest here multiple times, and you can see I'm just going to kind of click into this existing one to sort of show what it would normally look like, right? This is version 2.4. I've got my virtual agent is set up here. Here I've got your hub. This is, I believe I've actually got this named as Employee Center, so I'm not going to actually make a change. And then you would go through here, and unless you've already uploaded a manifest, you can click the back button to go back and make changes throughout this process. So I've already got my manifest put in, so I'm not going to actually do the create the manifest here. But what I will do is go ahead and move over to admin.teams.microsoft. And this is where we're going to go into manage apps. And so let's just say that we've got our manifest file, the zip file that's been downloaded. If you haven't already put it in, you would click upload a new app. In this case, I've already got it. So I'm going to search for this ServiceNow application. And here you can see I've got ServiceNow for Microsoft 365 in. So I'm going to click into it. You can see I've got version 2.3 published. If I had an updated manifest to put in, I would simply click here and select the file, and it would then propagate throughout Teams to my group of users. Mark, anything else to add here? I guess I should go into the setup policies real quick. This is where we talked about going into the global policy, and this is what we do. It may not be the same with policies in your organization, but whatever policy you have, you can do follow these same steps, right? So we've got this installed app. We had to add it here. This may not have been called out specifically, but we had to add this app. And then in terms of pinning, we added the ServiceNow app. Very easy to, a little menu shows up. I guess if I click it here, you would search for it in the menu and then just add it in. And once that's done, you bring it in, and then you can just move it around, up or down or wherever in context. So wherever it makes sense for your organization, you could place the app on the left rail for your users, and then they would have access to it. So that's all done. Let's go ahead and move into, sorry, I actually meant to not show you that right off the bat. So say we're going into Teams. I'm going to go into the ServiceNow app, and you can see it's pinned here on the left rail in the second spot, just where we'd initially had it placed. Sorry, I need to try to move this. This on. Okay, so we're in here now with Virtual Agent. The focus of our session today isn't around this, but this is where your users can interact with VA. And then Employee Center is placed over here. Take a moment and let it load. All right. So here, easy enough, whatever you've got set up in your Employee Center, your users will see here inside of Teams. So any action that they want to take, whether it is making say you've got a salesperson who wants to sign a NDA for a customer, they should be able to access it here. If they want to request vacation time, they can do that as well. If they need to procure items, it can be done within Employee Center. This isn't so much of an Employee Center sales discussion as it is showing the fact that all the good things you've done with your portal, you can now make available within Microsoft Teams. One thing I also wanted to share with you guys, I think it's over here, sorry. So this is a different instance, but I wanted to show the fact that we, with the August release, one of the cool new pieces of functionality is we make ServiceNow we make Employee Center available across Teams, Outlook, and the Microsoft 365 application. So we just looked at this inside of Teams. This is, like I say, a different instance, so it's a bit of a different setup. But we know what this looks like. If your organization or if a particular set of users wants to be able to access Employee Center, say they're not in Teams so much, but they're working more in email, then, okay, so we've already seen Employee Center in Teams. Here, if you're in email, now the same manifest generation process and upload into Teams admin console propagates the same Employee Center application into Outlook, right? So you can come in here and see Employee Center within Outlook, and it also puts it into the M365 app. So if you come in here and if you've got users that are on the web a lot, they're accessing different Microsoft applications, want to be able to get to some of their other items, and for them to access Teams within the M365 app is what's most useful for them. It's easy to do. So I'm going to go back to there and go back to the presentation if I can. All right. And with that, let me take another quick pause here, Mark. Are there any other new questions or comments we should be addressing?
Loads of questions, so I'm busy answering them as we speak. I would carry on at the moment because I'm just answering them as I type. But there are a few of them around licensing, a few of them around capability and when various screens appear. So, for example, when you did the install as your apps, you need to do the plugins first before that appears. So, just answered a few questions around that.
Okay. Okay, very good. Well, folks, so we'll get to the questions. I got a couple more slides here to go through, and then we'll talk a little bit more. But in terms of ensuring a successful integration, I like to show a couple of these slides because multiple teams are with an integration like this where you're taking Microsoft and which is obviously a large foundational platform, and ServiceNow, which itself is a pretty large piece of software. To do the integration between these two takes a couple of different teams to be involved. And so what we like to advocate here is that you make sure that your ServiceNow owner and your Microsoft owner are aware of the effort. You maybe are the ServiceNow owner, but it's important to make sure that the right team members are in the mix. It might include your networking team, obviously your security team, many others. So, making sure that all these folks, all these different teams are represented and know what to expect will make the deployment run much smoother. And then the communications is really crucial as well. We really recommend this be managed just like a project, right? I think because of the volume of people that are involved in the rollout and the work that's required, oftentimes we'll see a security review, that sort of thing. It's really important that it's treated with enough formality to make sure that the necessary documentation is created and shared. Just in case it helps, we do have this little templated piece of content that you're welcome to grab and use to help describe what's going to be happening with the integration to be able to share with other team members. Again, this isn't rocket science. It's just trying to make sure that communication initiates and that you get the right amount of input and representation from the teams that are needed. And that does it for the presentation here. I've got a handful of helpful resources. A lot of this goes to our community. I think what's new in Employee Center may be useful for folks, particularly on this session. We've got a handful of items. I think a lot of the content that we went through today are on items 3 and 4 around enabling Employee Center in Microsoft Teams. We've got a security item, and then obviously the product documentation is crucial. Folks, if you get into this and you find issues with it, please let us know. If you start to find like you're doing the integration and either the documentation isn't working or you get stuck, please open up a case. If the documentation isn't right, try to go through community and say, hey, I found this issue. But if things aren't working for you, please open up a case. That really helps us make sure that we can try to bring the right resources to bear and make sure that your deployment is successful. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks, Mark. Thanks, everybody. We'll catch you on the next one. Join us at our next session, and we'll be in touch. Bye for now.
Thanks, everyone.